transitions to the future we want. I believe there's a common introductory statement to that cluster from one of the three major groups. Please go ahead.
Yes, good morning. Co-chairs, members of the Bureau, distinguished delegates, fellow major group representatives. On behalf of the indigenous peoples, women, and trade unions, I would like to share with you some ideas which found strong consensus among us on the ambitious and just transitions to the future we want. Our world is wealthy on natural and human diversity, and our three groups are an example of the latest. This has not been a barrier for agreeing on key elements of the way forward. We ask you to go beyond the differences apparent in the negotiations and think what our people and future generations need the most, and what can Rio+20 do for them. A reinvigorated commitment to the rights with a coherent, ambitious, and rights-based framework for action. We have two key messages. First, Rio+20 must be based and framed on the rights that represent the heritage of years of negotiations at the international level, as well as national and local struggles. We are talking about human rights, rights of workers, women's rights, indigenous people's rights. We are talking about people's empowerment and participation, which are the wellspring of sustainable development. These rights guarantee the capacity of each one of our communities to live in freedom and prosperity, while guaranteeing respect for diverse ways of living, diverse jobs, and diverse economies. Rio+20 is part of a long history of global governance, and as such must build on these milestone principles of sustainable development: precaution, polluter pays, common but differentiated responsibilities, and respective capacities. These principles and rights belong to the Rio heritage, which must be retained, strengthened, and restated with renewed political will. Second, we also expect Rio+20 to deliver on those rights and principles by articulating new elements in the Sustainable Development Agenda. And we have some ideas and concrete proposals. Rio+20 must integrate the social, economic, and environmental dimensions of sustainability and expand to incorporate the cultural and ethical values of equity and justice. Decisions must satisfy progress across all dimensions of sustainability. If it implies trade-offs, we ask you to rethink again and find holistic solutions. Rio+20 could move forward on new ideas such as non-privatization of the commons, like water, the no-go zones for mining and extractive industries, the idea of no regression on previous commitments, the creation of a participatory multilateral mechanism to evaluate other new technologies for their environmental, health, and socio-economic impacts. Rio+20 must be the place where initiatives are taken to make diverse local economies, transform workplaces and communities, the heart of Sustainable Development Agenda. This requires the adoption of a rights-based framework for sustainable development, also for the post-2015 Development Agenda. Each of the three major group representatives will give concrete proposals how these rights should be implemented and how Rio+20 should agree on these implementation proposals. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much. I now give the floor to the women's major group.
Good morning. My name is Tess Bistro of the Asia Pacific Forum on Women, Law and Development. I come from the Philippines, and I'm speaking in behalf of the Women Major Group. The first point that we would like to raise in this meeting is on gender equality and women's empowerment. Countries where women and men have more equal status and opportunities are better able to move on the path of sustainable development. And we know that women in most countries face barriers both in the public and private spheres, and that we need to break down these barriers. But we also know that many countries are working hard to achieve gender equality, and that there are already successes achieved in bringing women into significant decision-making positions. But much more needs to be done to improve the lives of women worldwide. particularly in developing countries where the face of poverty and hunger continue to be the face of a woman. The aim of Rio+20 Summit is to move implementation forward. Then it is a key that we set some concrete targets, as has been done, for example, in the Millennium Development Goal 3, to create political will for implementation. Concretely, we are calling on governments to continue to support language, which is now in CST 102 bis, to support national measures to increase the number of women in leadership positions to at least 40% with the aim of reaching parity. We really believe that we should give women worldwide an opportunity to participate fully in sustainable development, and that if we cannot include concrete targets in this document, we feel there's really no need to go to Rio. Second point on women's rights to basic services. And one important instrument that we want to see in the final document is the social protection floor. Women carry a disproportionate burden of the unpaid care work and are in the majority working on unpaid work in the informal and precarious sectors, and in many countries still face so many discriminatory laws. In some countries like Brazil, 90% of the beneficiaries of the social protection floor instruments are women. For us, in the Women Major Group, this is an important instrument for the implementation of the right to basic services such as health, food, water, housing, energy, and education. So we call on governments to support stronger language on the Global Protection Floor initiative. Our third and final point is on women's rights and safeguards in the face of harmful and destructive commercial activities, in particular focusing on mining and unconventional gas activities such as fracking. It is a common knowledge that the oil, gas, and mining industries have not helped the poorest people in the developing countries. They have often made them worse off. Mining and extractive industries are the cause of great pollution, damage, ill health, and even deaths and violence of which women and children are often victims. We call on governments to initiate a global framework to reduce and repair damage from mining and extractive industries and assure that there are no negative impacts on local communities and women. Create a global fund to support developing countries in cleanup and rehabilitation of degraded mining sites. Thank you, and know that the women of the world are counting on you.
Thank you very much. I now give the floor to the trade unions.
Thank you very much. I'm talking on behalf of the International Trade Union Confederation. Thank you, Chair. In our common statement, we made clear that for the labor movement, it is key to ensure that Rio+20 outcomes reflect past commitments and agreed principles, including ILO core labor standards, as well as those rights such as the right to development, access to water, and sanitation. Let me give you now more details on 3 of our main proposals for Rio. The launch of an initiative on social protection and the need for a global commitment to decent work for all. And I will talk as well about financing for sustainable development. And those proposals should be enacted by concrete goals and targets. Delegates. The eradication of poverty is a major priority for achieving sustainable development. As recognized in the negotiating text, social protection systems are fundamental for addressing poverty and reducing inequality and social exclusion. A global social protection initiative must be launched in Rio+20. As you can see here, we agree with the women groups very strongly. To catalyze progress taking place at the national and international level by a variety of factors. Does it mean every country should have the same social protection system? No. It means that the international community will commit to secure guarantees to everyone, and each country will define the means to implement them. A Rio+20 outcome could therefore send a powerful message to the world. Every citizen will have access to health services and income protection for the unemployed, for children, the disabled, the elderly, and for maternity. The global initiative could also aim to integrate progressively environmental concerns in these schemes through socio-environmental protection initiatives. This would radically change our current approach to development into a truly comprehensive, rights-based one, and build a sustainability agenda based on people's needs. Our second proposal is about decent work. Achieving sustainable development very much depends on the capacities of our societies to reduce unemployment, eradicate precarious working conditions, and promote employment opportunities. Those opportunities must reduce the impact of production on the environment and take into consideration Earth's limited natural resources. We, the workers of the world, call these green and decent jobs. The negotiating text assesses clearly the challenges of the world of work. Unfortunately, we are yet to see a decision arising from it. An action-oriented outcome that points to a global commitment to ensure decent work for all is crucial. An initiative where governments will commit to do their utmost to reduce unemployment, eliminate working poverty, and develop jobs in sustainable sectors that are decent. An emphasis on women and youth, as mentioned in the current text, is key. However, we would like to stress the importance of this global strategy being placed within the Decent Work for All framework. We cannot forget that all action-oriented Rio outcomes will need new financial resources to be implemented. The trade union movement believes that a financial transaction tax, an FTT, will not only provide the necessary funds for it, but will reduce speculation as well. We hope heads of states have the courage to agree on an FTT in Rio. We have 5 more days to show that the international community can deliver concrete measures which will put our society on track towards social equity, decent work, environmental protection, and development. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much.